3. I/ATLAS is glowing. Not white, not blue, green. A luminous, unnatural green. Deep and saturated, like the light from a deep-sea bioluminescent predator, or a radiation leak in a dying reactor. This isn't reflective ice or scattered starlight. This is emission. It's alive with energy, and it's getting brighter. If you're still watching, subscribe now. You crave more than answers. You seek what lies beyond. Subscribe now, and be part of the few who never stop searching. As it dives closer toward the sun, toward us, the object begins to unfurl secrets that defy everything we thought we knew about interstellar travelers. Because this isn't a comet. It's something else, something older, and something far more complex. The glow isn't isolated. It radiates outward in fine filament-like structures, tendrils of plasma that twist and writhe in the solar wind like smoke underwater. It's beautiful, and it's terrifying, because no known natural object does this. Not like this. These aren't just gas jets or outgassing events. They're structured. They respond to solar interference. Some wrap back on themselves. Others extend in fixed arcs, forming an electromagnetic shell that dwarfs the object itself. A cocoon, perhaps. A shield. A mechanism we don't yet understand. What we do know, this object is changing. It's entered the inner solar system, and the fire of the sun is waking it up. You watch the coma expand. No longer a simple chaotic cloud of debris, like most comets. It's layered, stratified. The polarization data suggests something astonishing. Plasma bands, stacked in spiral formations, echoing the structure of magnetospheres. That's right, this thing has a field, and it's moving, tracking with the sun's magnetic flow, pivoting gently, like a vessel adjusting for solar drag. Not being pulled, navigating. And the green, it shouldn't exist. At least not like this. We know what causes green glow in comets. Diatomic carbon. It fluoresces under UV radiation, briefly emitting that signature emerald hue. But spectroscopy says the levels of diatomic carbon around 3 I/ATLAS are too low. That glow is coming from something else. Plasma emissions. Exotic molecules. Chemical interactions with unknown ices. The data is incomplete. But one thing is certain. This green is not natural. At least not in the way we define nature. And underneath it all, below the glow, a second signature emerges. Red, deep, dark, stained by time. A hue like dried blood under ice. It matches no known asteroid class, no main belt spectra. But there is one place where we've seen it before. On the surface of Pluto. On ancient icy moons scarred by radiation. It's the signature of Tholin's organic molecules forged by cosmic rays, sculpted over billions of years in the frozen shadows between stars. In other words, this thing is old. Older than Earth. It has wandered the gulfs of space longer than human civilization has existed. And now, as it slingshots toward perihelion, it's burning to life. And it's not alone. Radar imaging, tuned and cross-referenced by NASA, ESA, and private observatories, has detected something unprecedented. Structures. Not inside it, around it. At first they appear as blurs in the plasma field. Ghosts. Artifacts. But the readings repeat. Again. And again. Triangulated from multiple platforms. Verified. Confirmed. Fine lattice-like shapes. Thin filaments forming tetrahedral and hexagonal patterns, suspended within the coma. They orbit the main body in slow, deliberate formation, synchronized with the green pulses radiating from its core. What are they? No one can say. Not yet. Solar-formed dust crystals, magnetically suspended plasma webs, or something else entirely. Engineered scaffolds, antennas, sensor arms. We don't know. But what we do know is this. They move with purpose. When the object rolls, they counterbalance. When the sun's magnetic field shifts, they respond. Not react, respond. As if they're aware. This changes everything. Because now the object isn't just active. It might be autonomous. A system, a structure, or a ship. And here's the next problem. It's heading for Mars. Fast. Faster than originally calculated. That trajectory curve. It's tightening again. Once projected to pass by with safe distance, Now the object's path skims closer to the Martian orbit than anyone is comfortable with. And if it dips into the planet's magnetotail, if it discharges energy there, we're looking at a possible surface event. Maybe not impact, but interaction, energy, radiation, outburst. Something that could light up the Martian sky, or crack its thin atmosphere like glass under pressure. And the timing. October 29th, perihelion. The moment it swings closest to the sun, the moment its structure will be pushed to the limit. That's when the real transformation is expected. Because these aren't the final signs. These are just the preludes. What comes next could be violent, beautiful, catastrophic. Some predict it'll disintegrate. That solar heat will peel it apart, and expose whatever secrets it's holding in its frozen heart. If that happens, we'll witness the release of pristine interstellar material, organic compounds from beyond the heliosphere, dust older than the sun, chemistry uncorrupted by planetary formation. Others believe it won't disintegrate at all. They believe it will evolve, that the heating is activating something. A metamorphosis. Not biological, but mechanical, structural, shedding outer layers, revealing internal cores, systems that have been dormant for eons, designed to awaken only when bathed in the radiation of a new star. If that's true, then we're watching the rebirth of an ancient traveler, a visitor crossing the interstellar gulf not as debris but as a deliberate emissary. And what's it here to see? To scan? To collect? Or to announce? The scientific community is in turmoil. Some cling to conservative models, cometary irregularity, solar-induced chaos, plasma artifacts. But others are starting to say it out loud. That 3I/ATLAS may not be alone. That other objects could be following. That this might be the first wave in a slow, methodical contact strategy that doesn't begin with language, but with presence. We weren't meant to see them. Not yet. Not until we looked up. Not until we noticed. And now? Now we're staring straight into the unknown. Into something so old, so alien. It speaks in particles and fields instead of syllables and syntax. And you're living in the age that sees it first. This isn't just astronomy anymore. This is a mirror held up to everything we believe about our place in the cosmos. Are we truly alone? Or just isolated? Left behind by civilizations who moved on, leaving breadcrumbs of metal and plasma drifting between stars. 3I/ATLAS may be that breadcrumb. Or it may be a message. Or it may be the messenger. Either way, we are no longer the center of the story. And the next chapter is about to begin. If you felt the weight of that possibility, if this story lit a fire inside you or opened your eyes wider than they've been in years, then don't let it pass you by. Subscribe. Share this with someone who still believes we're alone. Because 3I/ATLAS is glowing green in the dark. And it's just getting started. The moment you're in now, this slow tightening spiral of wonder, dread, and revelation, is not one anyone planned for. Not governments. Not scientists. Not the prophets or philosophers. Because no one thought this would happen. Not again. Not so soon after Oumuamua. Not while the dust of uncertainty still lingers in our textbooks, our documentaries, our unsettled dreams. Yet here it is. 3I/ATLAS. Once thought to be just another interstellar fragment. A rock. A dirty snowball from beyond the heliosphere, spewed from the rim of some dying star, wandering blind through the dark until gravity caught it. But that illusion died the moment it began to glow. That strange unnatural green. Not a reflection, not scattered sunlight, not the spectral breath of a dying comet. No. This is something else. An emission, a signal, a chemical siren screaming across the void. One not meant for us perhaps, but heard all the same. Because now the whole world is watching. And what we see is not just a glowing object. What we see is a system. An engine, an organism. A structure so ancient and vast that its actions feel like instinct, mechanical reflexes carried out after 1 billion years of silence. It glows. And the coma expands. The coma expands. And the filaments reach. The filaments reach. And they begin to align. Align with what you ask. Not Mars. Not the sun. But each other. That's the part no one expected. The parts of the coma, Those strange lattice-like extensions, those geometric shadows inside the plasma, they're not flailing in the wind. They're not being tossed like leaves in the solar breeze. They're arranging, stacking, orbiting, folding in on themselves like flower petals caught in time-lapse, bending with invisible logic. A logic that may not be random at all. One set of structures begins to pulse faster, a second follows, then a third, each one precisely tuned to the rotation of the main body, each one blinking in a rhythm that syncs with the parent object's green flare. A cascade of resonances, blooming like a mechanical heartbeat across the cosmos. The question is no longer whether this thing is natural. That door is shut. Now the question is far more dangerous. Is it alive? Or worse, is it awake? Because the change in behavior, it's not just physical, it's purposeful. We're seeing reaction, feedback, input equals output. A coronal mass ejection from the sun blasts through space, roaring toward 3I/ATLAS like a tidal wave of plasma and magnetic fury. And what does it do? It moves. Not like a comet being pushed. Not a passive drift. It pivots. The coma tightens. The green pulse flares. And in real time, the object angles itself into the solar wind, taking the blast not like a victim, but like a conductor, harnessing the energy, absorbing it, charging. Let that sink in. Because we're not just dealing with an object shaped by eons of solar drift. We're staring at something designed to interact with stars. And now it's interacting with ours. You feel the weight of it pressing into your chest. The slow realization that you're watching something that has done this before. Somewhere else. Some other system. Some long-forgotten binary cluster or red dwarf nursery, where stars flickered out and civilizations never got the chance to ask questions. But this time we see it. We see it rise. We see it burn. We see it bloom with emerald fire as it coils around our sun like a serpent tasting the heat. And deep within it the glow is shifting. Not just green now. Blue. A hue sliding along the spectrum, from chartreuse into ultraviolet. Our instruments struggle to lock it down. Cameras saturate. Spectrographs overload. Whatever this thing is doing, it's escalating. The core is heating. No, not heating. Radiating. Controlled. Layered. Like signals being encoded into light. We're picking up strange polarization anomalies in every direction. Dust isn't scattering properly. Magnetic fields are warping like soap bubbles under pressure. There are whispers in the vacuum. Radio static that doesn't belong to us. Some of it loops. Repeats. As if something is speaking. But not to us. To Mars. Because that's the axis it's aligned with now. Not the sun. Not Earth. Mars. A dead world. A quiet stone. Echoing with the ghosts of water once warm and vibrant. Now buried beneath cold regolith and shattered memories. So why Mars? Why aim for that silent frozen planet? Unless it's not so silent. Unless it remembers. Some believe Mars was once alive. Not just geologically, but biologically. That something thrived there. And perhaps something remains. A signal. A structure. A mechanism. And now 3I/ATLAS is pointing straight at it. We don't know what's buried in the Martian crust. Not really. We've drilled meters, when we needed kilometers. We've sent rovers that crawl, not dig. But what if 3I/ATLAS knows? What if it was built to find whatever was left? What if this isn't just a flyby? What if it's a rendezvous? A reunion between ancient parts separated by stellar time. You see the threads now. The shape behind the fog. This may be a message. Not for Earth. Not for us. But for Mars. For something that lies beneath the dust. Something that listens or sleeps. Or waits. We may not be witnessing first contact. We may be watching old contact resumed. And if that's true, then everything changes. Because 3I/ATLAS is not a beginning. It's a continuation. A final chapter in a book written long before our sun had planets. And maybe, just maybe, it's a beacon, or a catalyst. There's a theory, one no one wants to say out loud, but it's growing. That this object isn't just delivering information. It's delivering energy. A trigger. To awaken something. And if Mars stirs, If the red planet blinks after 1 billion years, if 3I/ATLS completes its spiral and ignites a sequence we don't understand, then the solar system has never truly belonged to us. We were squatters. And the owners just sent their key home. So now the countdown resumes. October 29th, perihelion. The moment of closest approach to the sun. The moment everything might change. Will it disintegrate? Will it unfold? Will it activate? Or will it simply pass, leaving us with more questions than we can bear? You don't know. No one does. But you can feel it now. This thing is not a comet. It is not a rock. It is not random. It is an emissary. And it is glowing green in the dark of space. Watching. Waiting. Returning. As the object descends through the inner solar system, something impossible is happening. Its coma. Already vast. Already layered with structures and filaments that defy cometary logic, is folding inward. Contracting. Consolidating. Like a flower closing before a storm. At first the scientific community thought it might be disintegration. Thermal collapse. The classic death of a small interstellar body overwhelmed by solar radiation. But that's not what's happening. The plasma is reorganizing. Realigning into planes. Smooth, geometrically clean surfaces. Spinning and interlocking like overlapping shields. Light refracts off the edges with a precision that's surgical. Nothing about this is natural. It's the behavior of a system preparing for an event. And then came the greatest shock yet. 2 new objects. Trailing behind 3I/ATLS like embers on a solar wind. Smaller. Fainter. Just barely visible through adaptive optics. They're not debris. Not fragments. They are whole. Intact. They move in perfect tandem. Equidistant from the primary object. Rotating around it like satellites. One above. One below. Creating a 3-dimensional axis, top, center, bottom. 3 points. One system. That's not a comet. That's a formation. A configuration. A machine. You remember what happened when Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space. The silence. The total absence of signal until the shockwave of heliopause passed. Space turned thick. Like molasses. And then quiet. Now reverse it. 3I/ATLS isn't leaving interstellar space. It's entering our system. And it's bringing something with it. Or worse. It's bringing something back online. Because the 2 trailing objects are now emitting faint electromagnetic fields. Synced pulses. Echoes of 3I/ATLS's green flare. Only now modulated with blues, purples, and most disturbingly infrared bursts. Directed infrared bursts. Toward Mars. Not Earth. Not the Sun. Mars. Still. Again. Why? It's the one question that keeps echoing across every observatory. Every agency. Every whisper thread on the encrypted comms between global space programs. Why? Mars. There's no power there. No civilization. No infrastructure beyond a few aging robots and high-orbit satellites. But maybe that's exactly the point. Because there's no noise. No interference. No human EM fog. Only silence. And something ancient beneath it. Some scientists are beginning to suggest it out loud. Not fringe thinkers. But career physicists. Exobiologists. System engineers. That maybe, just maybe, Mars isn't empty. It's just quiet. Dormant. But not dead. Not completely. And maybe this object, this emissary, isn't here to observe. Or warn. Or threaten. Maybe it's here to wake it up. Whatever it is. Let's talk about the green glow. It hasn't faded. It's intensified. But it's no longer uniform. Now the glow pulses in patterns. Spirals. Waves, bands that flow across the body of the object and its orbiting companions. At first they seemed random. But AI analysis of the light curve shows repeating sequences. Fractal pattern. Prime number modulations. Harmonic ratios that mirror certain physical constants. Planck time. Golden ratios. Even solar resonances. This is no longer just light. This is language. And while humans can't yet translate it, we know enough to recognize a communication structure when we see one. It's not speaking to us. But it's speaking. And what it's saying, we're not ready to hear it. There's a term in engineering: inertial guidance. The art of navigation without external input, relying only on internal sensors. 3I/ATLAS seems to be doing the opposite. Reactive guidance. It's adjusting based on feedback. From solar wind. From magnetospheres. From something below the Martian surface. As if it's pinging the environment and tuning itself like a lock aligning with a keyhole. Or a virus searching for a host. It's not hunting us. It's looking for a handshake. You can see the split now. Across the global community. One side clings to skepticism. It's still a comet, they say. A strange one. But still natural. Ice and dust and gas behaving unpredictably under solar pressure. The other side. They've already crossed the event horizon of belief. And that side is growing. They're the ones watching the color change. Watching the plasma flow wrap into loops. Watching the new objects take their places like dancers on an ancient stage. And now, some are saying we may need to prepare for something that breaks every protocol. First contact. Not the kind you see in movies. Not an arrival. Not a landing. But a reunion. A system from the stars. Returning to a trigger site it once encoded. Reaching across aeons to finish a loop we never knew existed. And if that's true, then what happens on October 29th isn't just an astronomical event. It's a reawakening. And Mars is the altar. A place long cold. Waiting for the spark. Let's speculate. Because at this point speculation is survival. What if this isn't the only object? What if 3I/ATLAS is just the beginning? A test case. One seed in a galaxy full of them. And now, one has come home. To check. To listen. To ignite. And if it finds what it's looking for, what does it do next? Send the signal. Open the gate. Trigger a process that changes not just Mars but us. Because if Mars was once a node, a link in a network that spans stars, we may now be standing at the edge of that same map,